Here today with Josh Smalley, the head football coach of the Orangefield Bobcats. How are you doing today, Coach?
I'm doing great, my man. How are you doing?
I am doing well. Well, let's get right to it. One of the things I'm trying to do with these interviews is kind of illustrate how coaches move around and wind up where they wind up. So if you don't mind, walk us through your coaching career from your first job out of college to where you are now.
I've been pretty fortunate, to be honest with you. It didn't take me long to realize when I was in school what I wanted to do. I was very fortunate to have some good teachers and good coaches and coaches that were actually good classroom teachers. So I had a couple of them inspire me through my high school career to kind of show me and put me on a path of what I wanted to be. I knew I wanted to be a high school coach probably my freshman, sophomore year in high school. So I was very fortunate there. And then, so when I got out of high school, Bridge City, I graduated in 94. I got into what they call a GA program, a graduate assistant program. And so I could go to school in the morning from 8 to 12, and then I could go work at the school from like 12 to 4 or whatever. And I did that, and I got to coach 3 junior high sports as a 19, 20-year-old kid. So I did that for 3.5 years. So by the time I graduated college, I had 3.5 years of coaching experience at the junior high level when I got out. So my first full-time job was at Bridge City in '99. I was freshman coach for 2 years, coached football, coached basketball, coached track, coached it all, coached baseball for 2 years. Moved on to Little Cypress probably 2001, 2002. Went to Little Cypress for a year, worked for David Williams, great guy. I got to coach varsity running back. So that was kind of my step up from freshman to varsity level stuff. And then stayed there for a year and went to Vider in 2002, 2003. I got to work for Jeff Matthews and got to kind of still with the varsity, but I got to coach a little different position, coach the offensive line for him. And then I went back to Bridge City for 3 years. Kind of the guy that had the head coach there that year, Claude Tarver, came over from Hampshire and I got to work for him. I went down to the freshman level, but it took me a year or so. I moved back up to varsity, coached receivers for him for a couple of years. We had a lot of success, won some good playoff games, learned a lot from him. So I went from running backs to O-line to receivers. And then in '06, I got a call from Blake Morrison. He was the head coach here in Orangefield. And I came over here to be the offensive coordinator. So I did that for 2 years. So I went from, running freshman coach to varsity running backs to varsity O-line, varsity receiver. And then I kind of moved up to be a coordinator. And in 2008, my best friend in high school, basically that coach I was telling you about that inspired me to be a coach, he got the principal job at Bridge City. And he called me, wanted to know if I'd come back over and work for them. And Chris Stump was the head coach at Bridge City at the time. So I went over there in 2008 and was the offense coordinator there for 4 years. And then in 2012, this job came open in Orangefield to be the head coach. And I applied for it, and fortunate for me, they gave me the position, and I've been here since 2012, basically just finishing up year 10. So I've done it all. I've done junior high as a GA. I've done freshman. I've done varsity assistant coach and position coach. I've been a coordinator, and then finally got a chance to be a head coach, and that's where I've been. This is year 23 in education.
All right. Now you mentioned a couple of the coaches that you worked under that were your mentors as you were developing. Now, in the past 10 years as the head coach there at Orangefield, that's a role that you fill with your assistant coaches. You are a mentor to those coaches and preparing them for whatever is going to be next for them. Talk a little bit about that role, the way you handle it, and kind of that aspect of a lot of people don't see.
Yeah, unfortunately, when you hear the word mentor, it usually means you're getting old. So I'm a little older now. Like I said, you're 23 in the profession, and when I first got the job in 2012, mentoring these guys really wasn't on my radar. I was probably in my mid 30s, just trying to keep my head above water, so to speak, learn the role, learn the position, how to do things right and fit in. And but as I've gone through and gotten into year 10 now, I do see that as a major role of us. Nothing makes me happier than if I have a coach, move on and step up in the world to be a head coach or lead to be a coordinator or something like that. And you feel like you have a role in their career. But it is our job. And I do try to include some coaches in some things. When I was fortunate at Bridge City, Chris Stump allowed me to do some things as a coordinator that, I got to plan practice, or I got to do some different, some roles. I got to go to officials picks. I got to look at the budgets and stuff like that. And I really look back on that, and I feel like he was kind of preparing me to take another step. That way when I did get this job, I wasn't just totally unfamiliar with everything. So, I'll bring the coordinators in, and we speak a lot about practice planning. And I brought my offensive coordinator last week to officials pick so he could kind of see how that goes. And, I'll let them have a lot of say so in what we do in the athletic period, especially in off season. My defense coordinator is a certified strength conditioning coach. So I've taken a step back from all season planning and let him kind of take the lead on that. And it's going well. And so, you answer any questions they have. You try to include them in things that you feel like they're important. Scheduling is a big deal. You try to let them in on the scheduling process. But I'm really proud of our staff. I'm really proud of the guys that we've had here. I've been blessed in the 10 years we haven't had a whole lot of turnover. And so it makes you think you're doing something right. I lost my defensive coordinator this past year. He went to a bigger school to be a defensive coordinator, so that makes you feel kind of good. I really feel like I've got an offensive coordinator that's ready to be a head coach. I'm trying to help him prepare should that day come, and you just talk to him, ask them, try to prepare them for some interview questions they may see one day about budgets or booster clubs or scheduling or, rules, right? Athletic handbooks and stuff like that. So you talk to them as much as you can to prepare them for that way. And then these young guys that you get 1 year out of college or 2 years out of college, you really just try to mentor them about what it means to be just a solid coach and individual. Don't be on time, be early. That's big for me. You should be here before the kids get here. At work, if the kids are supposed to be here at 7, don't show up at 7. Be here at least 30 minutes ahead of time. You need to stay until every kid gets picked up. Don't leave a kid sitting out on the front porch, with nobody here, waiting on them. Be a good classroom teacher. That's one thing I noticed in this role. I didn't know as an assistant is how much grief the head coach gets when the assistant coach is not good in the classroom. Just, what I'm saying, if they go in there and they take the classroom responsibility lightly, it's a reflection on me as well. And so I got to have those conversations with principals and superintendents about that kind of stuff. So I really try to emphasize that, go in the classroom and be the best classroom teacher you can be. And that makes it better on everybody, So you try to push those things on them and prepare them that way. The young guys, you try to establish some kind of work ethic with them that, hey, these are the expectations of how we're going to work and how we do business. That way, if they do take another job somewhere else, that new head coach isn't going, God, we made a mistake by hiring this guy. Hopefully they're saying, we need more coaches from Orangefield because they know how to do things the right way. And so that's huge for us. And we've had some guys leave and take different positions. And I hope when they get there, the kids and the community and the staff are better off for having them and having them from our staff. I've lost some good coaches, and that's one thing. It's kind of a compliment sometimes is people call you back and they say, hey, man, that guy, he's a hard worker. She's done a great job, and if you ever have anybody else we need, please let me know, or something like that. So you take a little bit of pride in that.
Now you grew up there in that area of Golden Triangle area. A lot of small towns. You coached at a lot of small towns. So just kind of walk us through the impact that the school, the athletic programs have on a community in a small town.
Yeah, that's a good question. When I was younger, the obviously the gas industry, oil industry, all that stuff real big in Southeast Texas, with all the refineries we have. And so, we kind of hit on earlier before this about, the state of Texas population is booming, but our population here in Southeast Texas doesn't seem to be keeping up so much. So we're behind on some things, facilities, different things like that, teacher pay, but we're doing good. And but I will say the impact of a small school in a community, especially somewhere like Orangefield right here, we don't have a police department, we don't have a judge, we don't have a county, we don't have any of that stuff, and so the school district is basically the lifeblood of this community. And so, what I learned early on and from my own personal experience is, these kids get up in the morning and athletics and band and FFA and ag and cheer or whatever. That's what gets them to school. that biology test, unfortunately, or math class, whatever, even though they're very important, and that's why they come to school, and that's the main deal is getting them education. That most of the time, that's not what gets them on the bus or gets them in the car and gets them to come. It's usually some kind of extracurricular activity that they want to be a part of that gets them to walk through the door. Um, and so a school like this or a community like this, that's major, and the whole town shuts down on Friday night. We're not a big community. We're dropping down to 3A next year, and we got 530 kids in the high school. But if you come to a football game on Friday night, there's 2,000 people in the stands. And people have been coming since 1950, 1960, and they're still coming. They put their lawn chair out by the fence and they watch the game. And how we do that season and how we do that game is just as important to those people as it is anybody else. And so there's people that live and breathe, Bobcat football and Bobcat basketball and Lady Bobcat athletics. And so you give people hope. You hope that you put a product on the field that your community's proud of, that represents the values of your community. And when athletics and things are going well, not just athletics, but band and everything like that, the community seems a little bit better to be a part of. Everybody seems a little bit happier and things like that. So you can have a great impact on the community and through athletics or through whatever we're doing. But in the small towns, the school is the lifeblood, I think, of the small town communities, and it's definitely like that here in Orangefield.
All right. Well, now let's talk a little bit more specific about Bobcat football. You alluded to, you're dropping down. That doesn't necessarily in your district make things that much easier, but talk a little bit about what you've got coming back and what the Bobcats look like for 2022 fall.
Yeah, I think we learned last time we dropped down that you can't take anything for granted. We dropped down and I want to say it was 2018, maybe we dropped to 3A and we didn't make the playoffs that first year. So we went 5-5 and didn't get in. And so our kids learned, our coaches learned, our community learned that, dropping down 3A, there's no guarantees. It doesn't make anything easier. In fact, you better work harder because the outside world's expectations of you have just picked up a little bit. And so it's a tough district. You got East Chambers in there, who's always athletic, and Coach Sutherland and his staff do a great job of coaching. Anahuac with Coach Neese is going to be very good. They're athletic and always very well coached. At Kirbyville and Buna and Hardin and Tarkington, there's no gimmies that we can see. Obviously, getting away from West Orange and Silsbee and Jasper, people think that things are just going to be easy, but they're not. There's good coaching in 3A football. There's good athletes in 3A football. And so we know it's a challenge. And luckily, our kids have kind of taken that on this off season. Like they know what's in store for us, and their work ethic has not gotten worse. It's actually gotten better. And in fact, we've been maxing out the last couple of days in the weight room, and our numbers are outstanding. I'm very proud of our kids and the work they've been putting in since November, and to see the results in May is fantastic. And I'm extremely proud of the staff and the kids for the way they've worked. The main thing about dropping 3A is you just on a more level playing field as far as numbers. We got, like I said, we got about 530 kids in the high school, and we're not playing people with 850 anymore and things like that. And you carry 28 to 30 kids on the varsity roster. Well, so does the other team. And, we got 7 kids that go both ways. Well, so does the other team. Instead of, we got 7 kids go both ways in 4A, and other teams just rolling fresh bodies out there all, every down. And so it puts you on a more level playing field. It definitely doesn't make anything easier athletically or coaching wise or anything like that, but just being on a more level playing field makes things a little better for us.
All right. So who are some of the names I better know how to spell if I'm going to come out and cover a game this fall?
Well, the unfortunate part of this year is we're losing 18 seniors off of last year's team. And every offensive lineman is graduating. So we got both our tight ends back. We got our quarterback back and our running backs back. But literally, tackle, guard, center, guard, tackle are walking across that stage in a couple of weeks. So we got to replace some linemen. But we got our running back. He's back. A guy named Cameron Dishler. He'll be a senior. He rushed for 1,400 yards last year, 20 touchdowns. He's back. He's about 5'10", 185 pounds. And he's one heck of a football player, and we're excited to have him coming back. He plays both ways for us. He plays in the secondary. We got our other tailback back. PK's back. He's going to be a good player. He's a 4.5 40 guy. He's coming off a shoulder surgery, but he's looking better in all season every day. He's our speed threat. He's that guy that can go the distance at any time. Like I said, ain't a whole lot of 4 or 5 guys running out there, and we've got one, so we're glad to have him. Our quarterback, Braden Parker, he would be a senior next year. He played 11 games for us last year, got a lot of experience, throws the ball well. Everybody knows our offense is slot T. We don't throw it a bunch, but when we do, he's really good at putting it out there, and it's a real catchable ball that our guys like to. And when he has to be a running threat for us, we didn't use him much last year in the run, but this year we will. We had a big fullback last year that took a lot of our totes, but quarterback will be a bigger threat this year in the run. We got 2 tight ends, like I said, that are back. Cohen Maddox is 6'2", 200 pounds. He'll play the tight end position, and then we got what we call split end, but it's basically another tight end, but we do split him out a little bit. Morgan Sampson, he's 6'3", 220. He caught 3-4 touchdowns for us last year. And then, like I said, other than that, we got to find some offensive linemen, and so we'll be young on the offensive line, but we'll be okay. And then defensively, we got 2 inside linebackers coming back. Kyle Michelle, good baseball player for us. His brothers have all played here. It's kind of one of those names that just keeps coming through the program. Lane Gibson will be an inside linebacker for us. Case Singleton will play cornerback. Jackson Humplick played safety last year for us. He's back in the secondary. So kind of like the offensive line, the defensive line graduated too. So, we got to shore up kind of both sides of the ball in the offensive defensive line, but those are some names you'll hear, and there's some good players for us. And if we stay healthy, we got a chance to compete, not making any promises about anything. Obviously, I learned that, 4 years ago. But all I know is that our kids will compete. If we stay healthy, we got a shot to be pretty decent this next year.
All right. One more question before I let you go, Coach.
Yeah.
Tell me one thing about Josh Smalley that most people probably don't know.
Yeah, that's a good question, and I don't think most people would know is that I've recently been published in part of a book. A guy named Hal Bowman and one of his friends wrote a book, and the title of the book is "Thank You, Teacher." It's 100 uplifting and affirming letters, and so he reached out to us, different people, to see if we want to contribute a chapter to the book, and I submitted something, and lo and behold, it made the book. So I'm chapter 22 in that book. If you want to buy it on Amazon, I don't get anything for it. There's no money involved, anything like that. You basically just kind of a book for new teachers that are starting out, and you kind of, inspire or give them hope and things like that. But to be a part of that book, I think is pretty neat. I don't think most people think football coaches can read, much less write. To actually be kind of published, I guess, so to speak, and part of something like that, I think is pretty special, pretty neat. So I'm excited about that.
All right, Coach. Well, thank you for your time today, and best of luck in the upcoming season.
Hey, thank you for all you do for the coverage of not only Southeast Texas, but all of Texas and our kids and our programs. It's guys like you that make our job a lot easier. So we appreciate everything you do.